Welcome back to our third week of Mountains Made of Glass, our book club, Tundra Dip Book Club. We will be discussing chapters something through 15. Dana knows, I'm sure.
11.
11 through 15. And we will be doing a little bit of looking at previous comments on social media and spitfiring some theories. So first we will do our wonderful recap via Dana.
Our wonderful, very brief recap. So I'm going to just go chapter by chapter like I did last time. Chapter 11, we return from the mountain. Casimir's not very happy about all of this. He learns about Gisella's bargain, and we get a very ominous warning of, hey, just don't go to the mountain if it calls to you. He then gets yelled at by Neve, and he makes a little visit to the prince. Chapter 12, Gisela and Neve have some much needed girl time where where Neve at least spills the tea on this curse that has Casimir captive. And the mountains come calling, some fairies get some revenge, and things get a little bit spicy. Into chapter 13, we come off of that fairy high. We get a reason as to why Casimir is cursed. And then we have Gisela just saying, I regret everything about you. And Casimir taking it way too personally. Which then leads us to 14, where he's just in his own head and honestly taking it out on the prince, but asking for more advice while doing so. Mm-hmm. Because why not just bite the hand that feeds you? Which then we end off on 15, where Gisela finally meets our lovely magic mirror, and she learns more about Casimir as a person, along with this riddle to help her figure out his name. With 4 days left.
Amazing. 4 days. So to go to some of the comments on some of our discussion posts, we'll start with the Selkie. So because I don't want to say last chapter, the last section of chapters had a lot to do with the Selkie. Well, now the Selkie's dead, so
Silky went bye-byes because Silky tried to hurt.
He's all done. But he's a very interesting character. So a bunch of people's theories, the most common theory is that the Selkie took someone from Casimir, whether it was a previous lover or somebody else. But Victoria is asking, why is the Selkie so eager to help? Which we're all wondering, because he's a prisoner. And yes, he says, you'll set me free when you become, lady of this house or whatever.
And I am under the belief that the Selkie also, because the Selkie knew of Raven, or of Wolf, sorry, who is a Raven.
Wolf the Raven.
And that Wolf the Raven could take her off. And Wolf the Raven also owed the Selkie a favor. So, some way, somehow, I think the Selkie has a deal with the mountain where he was also requested to bring hair. Because how else would the Selkie know about the hair? And it just came to me saying this out loud is, unless there was a caveat to Wolf the Raven helping the first time when he called in his bargain of, you must tell me everything that happens.
Right. And why hair? I don't really get that part. So, yeah, Wolf could have told the Selkie, but why is the Selkie after the hair even if Wolf told him? Does he think he'll be able to bargain with the mountains? Or did he already bargain with the mountains?
Is it like a bargaining chip of, I have what you have asked for, now give me this in return?
Because what else does he want besides his freedom, right? So why would he attack Gisela, why is the hairs more like of a guarantee of what he wants versus having Gisela free him later?
And unless he was maybe under the impression that he wouldn't get freed later.
Right.
That she would somehow find a loophole in this curse through Casimir, through whatever, of, well, I'm not lady, I'm princess.
He does
That's not my
always call her
title.
a tricky creature. He calls her tricky all the time.
And she is. That word, tricky thing.
Tricky thing.
Color name? Anyways, sorry.
This
How
is
long
a
does
short
that list?
one. Let me write on the board with that. Tricky thing.
Oh no. But she is tricky. She's very, very smart and very, very careful with how she words things, even in her thoughts.
Yep, because even in this chapter or these chapters, he gives her finger back and she's like, oh, I didn't ask you to do that. I didn't ask you to do
Take it
that.
back, take it back, take it back.
Yeah, take it back, take it back. And so she's always so conscious about what magic is going to do and what the price to magic is.
And she doesn't want to be on the end of owing something when it's not a blanket statement of, this is what I owe you. Mm-hmm. And not something that she's agreed to in advance.
Yeah. The other thing I think is so funny from the comments is that everybody thinks that the prince is very good-natured and helpful, and I don't think that at all. I kind of hate the prince in general. He is like I think that the interactions between the two are very humorous, and I like him as a character, but I do not like him as a being at all.
I also do not. I'm not his fan. I don't know if I'm not his fan because of what I know happens.
Yeah.
Or if it's, I'm not. I remember when I first read through this that it was very much, he is comedic relief. He is here to make us laugh. He is here to poke fun at that traditional, well, we fell in love at first sight.
Prince Charming, yeah.
Yeah, it's that traditional, like, hunky-dory, whatever. Mm-hmm. He is there, and that's not how life is, and that's why we're laughing at him. That's why we find it funny. Mm-hmm. And because he finds that going through these trials and tribulations are blasphemous. Mm-hmm. But he's also not the best.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't understand why everyone likes him, because I just feel like maybe it's from what I know, but I can't honestly even really fully remember right now because I haven't read that far in my reread. But still, I have this thing where I'm like, I don't like this guy. I just feel like he's like the typical Prince Charming, and they're showing the shadows of that story, of how it doesn't actually work like that. And Casimir's falling on his face because of it.
Yeah. And he's going to continue to fall on his face because it's kind of funny.
Uh-huh. And I don't think that the prince was ever in love. So for him to be asking him.
Not a true love. He has a princess. Mm-hmm. But even as we get more details about his princess, you get that feeling of, is this love?
Yeah, exactly.
Or is this infatuation? Kind of something that we've already discussed through them, through the mirror, through Nave, and through Casimir of, well, she doesn't have to love me, she can just lust after me. And we're like, mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. No, sir.
His advice is also just bullshit.
Oh my god, he is throwing spaghetti to the wall and seeing if it sticks.
And playing with his hair, his feather, his life, basically.
I mean, which, in retrospect right now, all seems pretty sus. Mm-hmm. It seems like nothing. Oh, the feather. Who cares if he loses his feather? Who cares if he loses his hair? Which, to him, the prince, yeah, he cares because he's vain. Mm-hmm. He is so narcissistic that, yes, he does care about those things. Mm-hmm. And it's not until, again, we get towards the end and we see what they represent, they're like, oh, maybe if he wasn't so vain.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing that people seem to mutually agree upon is that the mountains are bad. Mountains equal bad.
Mountains
Which is
equal big bad.
interesting because they are the source of magic. So does that make magic just bad?
I mean,
Inherent?
if you're asking Gisela.
She doesn't like it so much. And the mountains seem really ominous right now. Casimir doesn't obviously isn't in good terms with the mountains. We hear more about that, more about why that is, but they obviously cursed him already. Um, so why do the mountains want Casimir's hair? Why? Because okay,
Why
so
hair?
it says in the first chapter we read, he says, which we can maybe just go into this part. So Casimir, she gets back. Casimir kills the Selkie. He's got his head right there. Um, and she was all like, "I'm so sad. I need comfort." And he was like, literally, like like hands behind his back, like, "What do I do?" Like hands
Yeah.
straight, like arms straight, like she's hugging him, and he's like, "What do I do?"
What is this human effect? She's never shown me this affection before. Get it off, get it off, get it off.
And I think is it Neve who's like, "Hug her," or is it Wolf?
Wolf.
Wolf,
Because
yeah.
Wolf, they're still at like the little pond area at that time.
Yeah, and Wolf's like, "Hug her back." And then he notices that she's missing a finger, that the mountains took it. He heals it for her. She's like, "No, no, no, I did not ask this of you. Take it back, take it back." And he says he will bear whatever magic, like, asks for
Yeah.
this.
And mind you, can we pay homage to how she gets her finger back by him sticking the stub of it in his mouth?
Ugh.
I need everyone to sit with that visual image for a second, please. Thank you.
So, like, when you read it, you might think to yourself, that's kind of hot. But then when you think about it, you're like,
That finger was just bleeding.
it's still bleeding, I
It's
think.
a gaping wound.
Yeah. And he
And it's
just,
dirty.
it's like that whole trick where you go like this and then you go, or whatever. But you
Quite
were never
literally.
to start with. Yeah, no. No, thank you. And then the interesting thing is because the mountains have her blood,
Mm-hmm.
blood, they can now call to her. So why would the mountains want his hair? It's not blood, it's hair.
And then the absolute only thing I can think of with this, it's if he is, and I want to say before, he has stated that he's from the mountains. Because he is true-blooded in the sense of, even if he was not directly from them, whatever it is, he is still full fae. He is from the mountains. So they could, in essence, maybe already have his blood.
Right.
But because of how generalized maybe familial blood is, it needs something else to tie to him. And that could be the hair, but then why 3?
Why
To
7?
make sure they're all him?
Why always
7?
Right.
Why all these 7s?
Why 7? Why the numbers seem to be very important. So 3 is very important.
Well, and then we even have a chapter, either this set or the next set. I don't know which one, but there is a chapter titled "The Rule of 3."
It's in this one.
So,
or it's the first chapter of the next one.
you know, which
Ooh.
Rule of 3 in general is a very fun literacy device.
Give me a lowdown. What do you mean?
Have you ever heard the Rule of 3 in general? Okay, so I took a bunch of creative writing classes when I was in high school and whatnot. And we also had to do, I'm from Florida, for those of you who don't know. So we have what was called FCAT, where we also had to write. We had a writing FCAT and all we would take. And as you kind of, numbers are always very important in writing, but like a writer's lucky number I've always heard is 3. And you always set things up in stages of 3. And when you set things up in stages of 3, that last one is always your most powerful. So when you're giving a reason to something, I want to do this because X, Y, and Z,
Okay.
It's that rule of three, but Z is always the most powerful of your
Mhm.
options.
Mhm. Interesting. So that chapter is the one where he goes to talk to the prince. It's a very short chapter. It's only one, two, really 3 pages, total pages. It's technically 2 pages and 2 half pages.
Which, and I correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say that is his third time going to the prince for advice. Because we had the first one where he said to tell her that she's beautiful. The
Mhm.
second one in chapter 11 where he tells him, sorry,
Yes,
to show off his powers,
to
how
save her.
strong he is to save her.
Hmm.
And then you have this one where he tells her to
Where he basically calls him a whore.
oh yeah, where he finds out that the prince is a virgin.
Yeah. Well, no, the
And
prince isn't a virgin, but his princess
oh,
is.
his princess is totally a virgin.
Hmm. He would not seek to ruin her. Just,
Yeah.
other women.
No, he's not. The prince is a virgin. He states, I'm looking at the page right now. I raised a brow. Have you ever had sex? And the prince's response was, not with a lady. I'm honorable.
Well, okay, but does he mean lady like lady of stature? You know what I mean? Versus like, let's say like a prostitute?
Well, I kind of took it to be that he is still a virgin because the prince goes, is sex not honorable?
So then
Or
has he
Casimir, sorry.
become a man? Is our prince actually gay?
You know, I don't know, but I still think that the phrase "I'm honorable" is hilarious to the point where I think I was scrolling through our old messages when we first started reading this, and
Hmm.
I sent you a message going, "Honestly, wouldn't be mad if that becomes a color name." I'm like, "What year is that from?" We reached that. We reached the "I'm honorable."
I'm honorable. I would never. Um,
Me?
is there, let's see. So after he says that the mountains may call for him, is there anything else that happens after that that we want to touch before Neve throws her shoe at him?
I think that kind of wraps that chapter up, or
Yeah.
not that chapter, that little section up, because he just
Yeah.
kind of dismisses her after that.
Hmm. Um, yeah. So yeah. And then they talk
Oh,
about, I always find, I highlighted this and I thought it was super interesting. So she says like, he says he has many names. It's the consequence of living so long.
I
She says,
highlighted the same thing.
perhaps you should die and you would not have so many. And then I highlighted, ah, but they do not end when you die, he said. I have died many times and I will come back with more.
I highlighted the same thing.
So why, what does that mean? Like, when where does he, what happens when he dies? Does he go like to the mountains and then like,
It's that reincarnation that we've talked about before.
hmm?
So in this life, he is Casimir. He dies. Maybe he becomes Wolf the Raven. You know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
He becomes anew and he gets a new name in that new life, and that's what he goes. I'm going to keep getting names because I don't die,
Right.
essentially. But and I would just love to know when they do go to reincarnate. Are they just like clean slating it? Do we think they're clean slating it, or do we have memory of the past?
I think that because he's like a prince, I think that he comes back as a prince.
You think he stays a prince?
Yeah, I think that the prince, like the frog prince, will come back as a prince. And I
Or
think that they just end up being princes. They continue to be the same person that they were, which is a weird way to think about it because literally reincarnation never works that way. But I just don't know how else, with the frog prince dying, how else we're going to do it.
no, I think that the frog prince is in the same hole as her sister,
Yeah,
which
that's
we'll learn
true.
about more later. But
Yeah, that's true. I also highlighted So he says that he's gonna plant the Selkie's head outside of his window and see what grows. And then he said, she said nothing, and she did not ask me what I intended to do with the sealskin either. But if she had, I likely would have told her about my collection of skins, which ranged from animal to human. One never know or never knew when they might need a different skin.
So can the Fae just wear skins like the Sulky can? Are we Hannibal Lecter? When did we become Hannibal Lecter?
And like,
should he be locked up?
Are we on like skin watch at this point? Like, do we think any characters they come across in the future is gonna be Casimir dressed up in their skin? Like, why add this, Miss St. Clair? What?
And again, I don't know if it's because I just came from reading a series that literally said, hey, every small detail is very important. Pay attention. Cough, Sarah J. Maas, cough.
Mm-hmm.
But is this just a fun, stupid little detail of like, he's a hunter. This is what he collects. He collects skins. Or
is it important?
Is there more?
Because from what I remember from like St. Clair, she kind of does a little bit of both. Like a lot of things seem like they should be important and they're not important. She's just saying it to like paint a picture of the character, like the morally grayness of the character.
Which, like, fair enough.
Because otherwise he doesn't seem like much of a beast, but that's kind of like a holy shit, what the heck?
Yeah, and maybe that is kind of just like a little throw in, like, oh, remember we talked about him being a beast? Yeah, he skins humans.
Yeah, and animals and wears them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe it's his kink.
I hope not. I want to get into some interesting things I'm not prepared to read if that's the case.
Or, in my hopes, maybe we need to be on Casimir watch when the next book comes out. And any iteration of somebody that pops up is that Casimir wearing a skin.
I am gonna be so disappointed if the books don't connect. Like they have to connect.
I have already read the first chapter.
Yeah.
And oh my god. Oh my god. Can that please be the next book club book when it comes out?
Yeah, well, maybe not when it comes out, but when does it come out?
I want to say it's slated for October.
We're booked through October, but it can be November.
Ooh.
Which I think it would be a good, like, what do you call it? Like, picturesque for November? Like,
yeah.
Because I think it's like gold and red and like autumn.
Yeah.
So that would be good because, yeah, we're having for October, we're having like kind of like a Halloweenish book. Not really Halloweenish,
I
but
like how, okay, so let's give the podcast the exclusive. What's going on?
I can tell us next month's.
Podcast exclusives. Let's go.
I won't go all the way to October, but I can tell us next month. Next month we are reading. I'm gonna pull it up because it's one of those names that's so close to all the other names of books.
I would grab mine, but it's all the way back there.
Yeah, mine's downstairs. Fall of Wrath in a Ruin by Jennifer L. Armentrout.
Ooh.
So this one is about like angels and fallen angels, and angels are very like celestial beings are very in the book, like it's like in the society, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's really interesting.
It is. I'm enjoying it so far.
And I think it's good for end of summer, and then because I'm pretty sure
it's a good transition book.
Yeah, and then we'll get into like for September. Maybe I don't have one for September.
I thought it was Fourth Wing.
Maybe. I don't know. I maybe don't have one for September, but October I know will be
as
like,
I look around.
One with like vampires and that kind of stuff.
I want to say when you originally sent me a list of 3 books, it was Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
I don't know if plans have changed.
I don't think we ever did Fourth Wing, so like I think that would be good. And I think it would be good to encourage our readers that we know have already read it to do a reread with us.
I need to do a reread. And I am debating, so the first time I read it, it was audio. I'm debating on actually doing a hardcover read now.
Yeah, me too. Because I have a hardcover because that's what my husband read, but I listened to it. So, yeah, same. So we'll see.
All right, back to the story.
Well, okay, so Neve gets mad at Casimir and throws a shoe at him.
Yes.
What is that called in like Hispanic culture?
Chancla?
Yeah.
The sandal.
Yeah. We need to try your sandal.
Just coming down. Which again, the vision of Feyre doing it to Sand. Throwing shoes.
She calls him an idiot because he said you should be grateful.
Because he is an idiot?
When he killed the Selkie, I think, is what.
You should be grateful again. Could you be any less romantic? Her words, not mine.
Say anything else, something kind, anything kind.
You have to, if she's going to love you, she has to like you.
Yeah. And she says what I like, or he responds with something that I actually very like, it makes me feel for him. He says, I'm trying. Do you imagine? This is easy, somehow easy when I have had no love in my life.
And he's saying this, mind you, as she's throwing a pillow at him, going, you got 5 days, dude. 5 days. And again,
then she throws. She was about to throw a candlestick, and because he said that, she was like.
But again, I imagine what is the character's name? Edna Mode from The Incredibles. Get yourself together, man.
Exactly. And she says you have to do more than try. So then he decides at that point to go see the prince again.
The prince. Our lovely, wholesome, ever so good-hearted.
I literally see the Prince Charming from Shrek too.
Yes.
That's literally what
that is how I picture him. Because that's how he acts.
My chair is making
Not you doing that, so I immediately went to go do it. I'm in a normal chair. It doesn't lean back.
So he goes and sees Prince Charming. Cherry flavored. Ooh. And yeah, he doesn't give her
and immediately goes, your advice didn't work, it sucked.
Which is true. I mean, he could have called her beautiful and not, like, said you should be grateful for a compliment, but still.
But also, he goes, well, how did you say it? Why does everyone keep asking it? I just said it. I picture, like, when I talk to my students at work of, well, did you say that in a nice tone of voice? You said to say sorry, so I said sorry. Sorry. Not like that.
Exactly. And then he goes into saying you could be heroic, and he goes, I ripped off the head of a Selkie today.
But did she see it?
Did she see it? Yeah.
It was very much like, picture it didn't happen, bruh.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, what? Like, I don't even get credit for it.
Like, you have to show her your bravery and she will melt at your feet.
And then he says, if you're wrong, I'm going to take your feather.
What about my curls?
Already took them.
They're already gone. The prince hasn't even noticed yet.
Do you think he's bald, or do you think he just has a shaved head?
It says that his hair was shorn. So I'm thinking, like, buzz cut, if not completely bald.
Does he deserve it?
Oh, 110%. I hate the prince.
I don't know why, but I think he deserves it.
I hate the prince.
I hate him. I don't really know why. I have no idea. I'm sure I will be reminded.
Why did the prince deserve to get his hair cut? Because honestly, and to play devil's advocate, saying that she was beautiful didn't work.
Correct.
Therefore,
on the deal.
Beautiful didn't work. Therefore, I told you I was taking your hair. But also, the prince is a walking red flag, and I will die on that hill.
I'm
Prove me
writing
wrong.
a discussion question. Did the prince deserve to lose his hair, and why?
Absolutely. Discussion question. What would you tell Casimir as advice? If you were the prince, what advice would you give Casimir?
Love advice for Casimir.
Can we get the comment sections on a video to just look like Casimir's Google search results?
How to make women love me.
Why do people keep asking me how I said you're beautiful?
How to pronounce beautiful.
What is love? Why is the song playing?
Oh my god, I love that. So then the mountains call to her.
The
Which
bell.
I don't actually get this. Because, okay, the mountains call to her, right? But then eventually the bell goes away and stops. And then she's like put into a spot where creatures are messing with her. The fairies are messing with her.
So, was the bell the mountains? Because it's not even confirmed that it's the mountains calling to her, right? This is like, we later talk about it. It's like, well, it could have been the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Or was the bell the fairies all along? Because mind you, remember, she like threw up into the lawn, and the he's like, oh, well, now the fairies are going to be pissed. And so here, if the fairy circle was not the fairies getting revenge, which I don't think it was because she went to the mountains afterwards, and that's when she threw up. This definitely is.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I don't get. I'm like, why would the mountains call to her and then just lead her out into the middle of nowhere for no reason?
Because was it the fairies that were tricking her with the images of her dead parents?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think the mountains. I think the mountains started to get involved, but then either Casimir showed up, and that's when like, ooh, maybe not. Yikes. Anyways, or if it was the fairies and the fae all along, just being like, ha ha, we're getting our revenge. You made our lawn gross.
Right. Again, which is such a grim, like, fairy tale. Like, it's like such an overreaction. It reminds me of like New Girl with when Winston either his pranks go too far or they're not enough, like if you know that reference or whatever. But literally it's like I think it's a little bit of an overreaction to pretend to be her dead family after she, threw up in the lawn.
Yikes. Her trying to be her dead family and then make her go like, fuck a guy.
Yeah, right. So, well, maybe that was the like plan all along. So maybe the mountains want them to be together. So then maybe they lured her out, made her call for Casimir, and then the lust fairy hit them together.
But then that would bring apart. Do the mountains want the curse to be broken? Because her falling in love with him helps to break the curse, or are they just trying to taunt him even more?
I mean,
are they calling to her, putting her in this predicament to then taunt him?
We got your girl.
I'm just like, look at how close you came. Psych. Joke's on you. LOL.
Yep. And then we get into the spiciness, which I really like. The fact, okay. A lot of things in this book, the spice was sped up in like morally gray, black ways. So first of all, the first time they had like intimate contact was when she offered to relieve him for a letter. Second time they had intimate contact, they're under the influence of magic. Lust dust, which by the way is a color name.
100%. Also, once we go through the spice scene, completely skipped over tea time with Neve.
Oh yeah, we did. Oops.
We'll circle back to it.
Yeah. Anyway, so they get sprayed with lust dust, and what's his face? Casimir tries to like not allow it to happen, but he doesn't fight that hard.
Mm-mm. Be quiet. You're gonna make it harder. I want this. Okay, bet. Let's go.
And the fairy says, I didn't like make you lust for each other. You already were. It
I
just
just
heightened it."
amplified it.
Yeah. So then that almost makes you feel more okay as the reader about it. You know,
Yeah, it was
if it wasn't
consensual.
like that, if
It
it
was
wasn't like
totally
that, you would be
consensual.
like,
So
yeah.
it is. I have fallen prey to the little video ads on TikTok that are like melodramas. And a common theme in these little melodrama like storylines that they play on these apps
Mhm.
is the idea that there is basically a date rape drug called what is it? It's the chemical in your brain, I think, aphrodisiac. It's basically literally just called aphrodisiac.
Okay.
Somebody spiked my drink with aphrodisiac, where it just heightens the feelings, your lust, and all that you really already have for somebody.
Right. So it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of like an enemies to lovers a little bit, and it's a novella, so it's gotta move quick.
It's an enemies to lovers with how many times she says I hate you and fuck off.
True. Which, by the way, after they actually bangity bang bang, she says she doesn't hate him.
But she does say she regrets it.
Mm-hmm. And now we will.
And that could almost be just as bad.
Yeah. True. Which can lead to hate and disgust and all those things.
Ooh.
So then we go back to Neve's lowdown.
Let's go back to tea time with Nave, which happens like shortly after she gets out of the bath.
Yeah.
After Giselle gets out of the bath.
Just so you know, you're not actually going to be free if you find out his name.
Also, our prince is an idiot. Literally starts off with going, honestly, the prince is an idiot, which I think is a perfect way to segue into this conversation, because she is very much going like, listen, girl, I know you don't like him, and he is a fucking idiot. However,
I'm just going to give you what needs to happen. I'm just going to level with you because he's obviously fucking this up.
he's fucking this up, but also, like, he might not be kind to your standards, but he's granted you mercy. And she goes, what? Mercy! I am a prisoner. And she goes, actually, not that she tells Gisela of the prince.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we know the prince who is actually a prisoner, is she though?
Yeah.
But you must earn your freedom because he cannot earn his. Trust me, it's not a pleasure to watch both of you fail at this every day. So not only
it's basically like you're no better.
Not only is she calling out the prince for being an idiot, but now Giselle is an idiot.
Mm-hmm. You're no better. Listen here.
And then we get the big lowdown, which is, what do you mean fail? What are we failing at? And then we find out, and I'll go straight with the quote, the prince is cursed by the glass mountains, and if you do not guess and speak his name in 5 days' time, because we are down to 5 days, he will forget it. And if a fae does not know their name, they fade away. Fade away? Cease to exist, never to return to this earthly plane. And I thought of my earlier conversation with Casimir. I have died many times, and I will come back with more. Under the curse, I suppose, the cycle would cease.
Yeah, he'll stop reincarnating.
And then she goes, why should I care?
Is gone, yeah.
Why should I care? That's not my problem. Because your freedom's tied to his. You did that to yourself, girly. And then you really learn what a beast he can be, because he's going to go slowly cuckoo as he forgets who he is.
Why do I picture, what is it? Back to the Future when the parents are fading in the picture?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I like am thinking of when they say he will like fade away and cease to exist. It's like he's gonna like fade completely.
And then, where does it? Why should I care? She goes, and then what does love have to do with this? What does love have to do with
What
this?
does love got to do? Got to
Yes.
do with it.
Which, again, that Nave tells him, you can guess his name and even speak it, but you must also love him or the curse cannot be broken.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then she dwells on that. You must also love him. To which she shouts out, stupid, arrogant, Fey prince.
Mm-hmm. She's mad now.
And then wanting something modest to wear because the last thing he's going to do is see her like that. Even though it leads us straight to the
Straight to bangity bang bang under the tree.
I want something modest 10 minutes later. Anyway.
It gets ripped in half clean off of her body. Yeah.
Ugh. This chapter was a ride.
Uh-huh. And it's funny because I think it's like right away in the morning she basically says like I know that the spell is like lifted but I still could go more.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then something, I highlighted this as well, but she even asks him in regards to the whole lust dust situation, what kind of magic is this? And he goes, it's not magic, this is need. Which, I mean, you know, when things become that hot and heavy.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. He's ready to go.
He
More
said, let's go, baby.
Mm-hmm. He's like, this is what it's like to be with a fairy.
If this is need, I've never known it before, but I was certain I could not live without it.
Boom, boom, boom. These set of chapters are the turning point for them. This is like they call it the part where they're like the story starts to like actually go towards the climax, you know?
We are in that rising action about to hit peak climax.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
I mean, she's already hit it in a fun way, so.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that always happens.
It is the foreplay of storytelling. I need to stop.
No, they're past foreplay now.
Well, they are.
We're still working on it. Then, well, keep going because the very end of their interaction was right where I was about to go. But if there's middle things.
No, I think.
So then he ruins it.
He always ruins it.
By giving her a letter, which I think technically he's contractually bound to do.
Was that... Okay, well, that... Hold on. The letter comes in 13, right? Yes, are we in 13? I don't know where we are.
Yeah.
We do get the letter. We get the letter I.
Mm-hmm.
Who's on letter watch?
We're you and I.
Is it just you and I?
You and I.
You and I.
Forever.
We are on letter watch. Ooh, there's a little check mark.
Yes. Check mark here is because we made this color name.
I know, I saw it on your book talk. I'm in love.
I made the colors today and I was like, wow, I really outdid myself.
You really did, though.
Yeah.
And I've only seen 2 of them.
Oh, they're good. The one you didn't see is probably Glass Mountains.
What did you name the one off the cover?
Fairyland.
Ooh.
Then Vicious Creature.
Yes, that's my favorite.
And then Glass Mountain, which turns white.
I'm obsessed.
And the flakes aren't silver flakes, they're like they're halo white flakes or whatever. So they're like mirror shards almost.
I would also like a small comment of as I was watching you make Vicious Creature, I went back to my little notes that I had written down because I had wrote down colors that popped out to me in the story. And it is very much kind of what I had written down as an idea in my head. I think the only thing I had different was like throwing in the little kite glitters to be like thorns.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that would be good. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, all I can think of with vicious creature is red. Red, 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 red.
Red, red, red. I literally wrote down for a color. There's a lot of blood red images within this story, all relating to Casimir and Ella.
Yeah, that's true.
And
100%.
then followed up by red version of turquoise pools question mark,
Yeah, for sure.
which hit the nail on the head.
I know, right? So yeah, so now we have you and I, which by the way, the fact because I know this, I'm giving an extra hint. It's interesting that they're consecutive letters.
They are.
Hmm.
And those are the only two that are consecutive.
Yeah. So the first two are consecutive letters, which is interesting.
Oh, which I did find out what I thought his original name was.
What was it?
I don't. Well, it comes up in the fall. I think the last chapter of the series. I think before he even said it in the book. I want to say I was like, if his name is Grief, I'm gonna scream. But then we got you, and like, okay, it's not Grief. And even she goes in the book and she goes, it's not Grief. Grief's not a name. Which, knowing what I know now, is hilarious of how easily she wrote off the word grief. Other than the fact that you's not in it.
Uh-huh.
Well, grief's not a name. I'm like, little do you know what constitutes as a name here.
Well, and that's what the mirror says later on. He
Uh,
says
I can't wait to get to that.
name. But yeah, anyway. So he gives her a name or a thing, and she gets super, super pissed. But
Yeah, and that's where she kind of comes out like, well, I regret this.
mhm.
Because it feels transactional. And is it because she's already set up that bargain and they're now stuck to it? Did he want to put a barrier between them?
I don't know. And well, I technically do think that he was contractually obligated to give her a letter. He didn't maybe have to give it to her right that moment. But also remember that he does want her to guess the name.
I mean, yeah, he needs her to guess the name.
Yeah.
But we also, in this chapter, get why he's cursed.
Yes, we do.
Bless you.
Thank you.
We get why he's cursed, which he says, I slept with a daughter of the mountains, he said, and she fell hopelessly in love with me. And because I did not return her love, the mountains cursed me to forget my true name.
And why do the mountains have daughters? I mean, okay, we just talked about this, you and I. Just
Yes.
as Casimir is kind of a son of the mountains, but like incest, gross. Like, I don't, you know.
Well, and it's also what constitutes as a daughter or as a son. Is it in like a literal sense where this is ew, gross, or is it more in a holy religious sense, like you would think of the nuns or whatever, like the priestess in Avatar
Children of the
as,
Blessed or whatever.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are we looking at them in that regard of you took somebody holy to us almost, made her fall in love with you, crushed her heart, ruined her. Who knows if she's still alive after this?
What's confusing about it is this, though. All the royalty of the land is his family. So who would have been the daughter of the mountain?
And are they royalty or are they just higher fae like creatures?
The princes, technically, of the land. And then his father was the king.
Do
So
they have more siblings?
yeah. So what's going on? Why is there a daughter of the mountain? Like, what is she?
What makes them different?
Is she like a god? He was trying to like mess around with. And then he also said before that he tried to mix his blood with the mountain's blood, and that's why he got in trouble. That's what he said in the beginning.
There's so much, and maybe that's why the mountain needs blood. Um,
Well, so is the daughter like a god?
is the daughter specifically like thought of as a mountain? Like, is she part of the mountain, basically?
And
The
also,
mountain in human form.
are the glass mountains actually mountains? Or is it who resides in the mountains?
Are the glass mountains actually mountains, or are they wearing a mountain as a skin? They did
Right.
bite off her finger.
Right.
And
Exactly.
maybe that was their kink, but
Exactly. I think that there's like a higher being situation happening. Because who the hell would be their daughter?
who is the daughter? You and it's also it's like I slept with her. She fell in love with me. That's such a conceited thing too, though. I can't read that line and take it seriously at all.
I'm gonna give
Did
a
she
far
fall in
out
love with you,
theory. I have a far
or
out
does she have was she with your child?
the crone.
Is the croon the daughter of the mountain?
I mean, it's a far out theory. Could work though.
I need this croon to become a full circle moment in one of these books,
Because
please.
she could be in her like villain era right now because she's all upset, so that's why she's terrorizing this human town.
But in the same regard, her terrorizing this human town just ended the curse of the guy who screwed her over.
That's true, but still, well,
But you
that's
never
true.
know that that's going to happen.
Which is how magic works in this world.
It's so unpredictable.
And it seemed like she was like, kill this prince. Maybe she hates all the princes, so she wanted her to kill the frog that is a
Maybe,
prince.
again, and if she's the daughter of the mountains, maybe she knew that they had to get through these 7 princes in order for her to have any say. I still think she has the the mirror piece of the dead prince. Maybe she wants to collect them all because whoever connects all the mirror pieces becomes the ruler.
Mm-hmm.
If there's not an 8th book where this is just a battle royale, I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, to be fair. I mean, I guess they all have to connect because they have to figure out the mirror,
I
really.
want to know more about this mirror.
Well, the mirror also is very like unhelpful but helpful. Like he's no more helpful than anyone else.
I really feel like the mirror is just the magic mirror from Shrek.
Basically, that's what I'm saying.
Is this book just a Shrek fanfiction?
Uh, basically. Um, so she dips out and then he talks to the mirror again very shortly. And it's also said that the mirror speaks into his head, which is
Oh, so he's not just talking to himself.
yeah.
I completely skipped over that part of the book. Was fully convinced this man's just talking to himself.
No, it's the
Because I
mirror. The
really
mirror's
wrote,
voice echoed in my mind.
yeah, I skipped over that because I really just wrote, literally talking to himself goes back to Prince.
Yeah. Literally, well, I mean, he talks to the mirror like literally this is what happens in 2 chapters in this section. He talks to the mirror for like a page and then he goes and sees the prince.
And
It's
then he
like a
talks to the mirror for a page. And each time he's talking to the mirror, and honestly, I feel so bad for Casimir. Because anytime he opens up any kind of dialogue to somebody who's supposed to be on his side, he's being called an idiot.
correct.
Because how does this dialogue start off? It's because you're an idiot.
Literally.
She regretted it.
Goes in his
Did you
mind.
ask her why? Because you gave her a letter. You made it seem like you didn't care.
Hmm. And then he says that embarrassment and regret is not the same, which I agree.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna admit that they're embarrassed. We're too prideful.
Hmm. Um, yeah, and then he basically is saying like you thought that you would stop wanting her after you had her, but now you continue to want her, so sucks to suck, basically.
But so then we're back to the prince.
Back to the prince.
Where the prince immediately jumps into this going, I'm gonna give you anything you desire if you don't kill me. If you just tell my father where I'm being held, I'll give you whatever you desire.
Also, who is the prince to say I'll give you whatever you desire? I always thought of that as like in Feyland, usually they'll give you what you truly desire and it ends up being a trick. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, who is the prince to offer him what he truly desires? He doesn't probably have anything that he
You have
desires.
no idea what my desire is. However, Casimir delivers my favorite Rumpelstiltskin callback. Careful of what you're offering. Careful of offering desires. That's a good way to end up giving away your firstborn. That is a Rumpelstiltskin callback if I've ever seen one. Not only are we guessing a name, but now a firstborn child is involved.
And then instead of saying "Don't take my firstborn child," he says "Don't kill me."
Don't kill me. This prince does not care. But that's also how you know the princes don't do the bargains. They're not the bargainers. It's always the women.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And then he says, "I will settle for stripping you for what you most hold dear." So, he takes his feather.
You mean my hair and my feather? I'm not yet taking your feather. Bloop.
And then he doesn't tell him with what he's going to take from him next.
He doesn't, which is foreshadowing.
That's tricky. He doesn't tell him. He just moves on.
But it's also foreshadowing of what's to come next.
Well, and what's interesting is the Prince Charming, is stupid because he doesn't question him. He just says, "So you saved her from danger and she still doesn't love you."
And they even, like, for a bit go into it of, like, tell me how the princess fell in love with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did he do? When you rescued your princess, what happened? She was grateful. And like there has to be more to the story.
Mm-hmm.
What else? We returned to her kingdom, where her father declared that we would wed. Did you rescue your princess? I did. And what happened? Fucked her.
In the woods.
In the
All
woods.
night.
All night.
And he goes, "Oh, you're married already?
You are married?" Like,
Which
he can't believe he is having issues getting this woman to love him. And the prince is like, "Wait, you're married?" And she doesn't, like, what the?
This is such a light trigger for me because of my like heavy religious upbringing, and I'm like, ugh, this is another reason where I'm like, oh, I hate the prince.
Screw the prince. And again, my favorite line in this book, I am honorable. It's italicized in everything. Honestly, put that on a shirt and I'd buy it.
But okay, so he asks him, "Have you had sex?" He says, "Not with a lady." What the hell does that mean? Okay, either it means he's had sex with prostitutes or it means with men. Which one, we don't know.
But also, I feel like the prince would think too highly of himself to have sex with a prostitute.
Right. So is our Prince Charming, like...
Is he bi or gay?
Gay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is he? Or...
who's making a princess fall in love with him for, like, nothing?
He's obviously closeted. Or is he just that disgusted?
Mm-hmm. And he says, "I am honorable. Why would I have sex with..."
Honestly, he probably couldn't get it unless he was married.
Probably true.
So.
And then we get the whole, like, fairy morals versus human morals. So he says, "How is sex not honorable? It's natural, blah, blah, blah." You know?
What do you know? And then we get into love. I need her to love me. Ugh. At some point, if you do not love her, someone else will. What do you know about love? Your advice has only made my creature hate me more. My creature.
Have you tried asking her what she wants? They're really just throwing spaghetti at the wall here. Like, okay, fine, I don't know. What does she want?
What worked for my princess may not work for yours. He's really trying. This is his get out of jail free card. But what works for one doesn't work for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe ask her what she needs to love you.
Maybe go straight to the source at this point because we've been screwing up.
Maybe I shouldn't just murder you on the spot.
And then he's like, Yeah, what if she doesn't tell me what she wants? And then he
Then I
says,
suppose you'll take something else from me. The
yeah.
prince at this point, it seems like he's given up.
Yeah.
It seems like he thinks there's no escape. This is, you know what? Whatever. Then you're just going to take something else from me. I can't get out of this. I tried to beg for my freedom. I also, with that whole, like, at least tell my dad where I am at, the prince knows he's not giving good advice.
Uh-huh.
He has to know it. He's just trying to buy his time.
He's trying to strike up a different deal because he doesn't like this one. He's obviously not.
He's not winning here.
Yeah. So he obviously doesn't know anything about love. It's not working out. When Giselle is mad. She's still mad, so she decides to go for a walk in the castle.
And she meets the mirror.
Meets the mirror, who also tells her some more tea, right?
He does, but as she's kind of going on this walk, she's literally just going, I and you, and 5 other letters.
Yep.
What the hell could his name be? It's not desire, it's not this, it's not that. But also, very much thinking about their time together.
Yeah.
And why is he an idiot?
She's also realizing that she doesn't know him like at all. So she's trying to figure out what his name is, and she has no idea. She's looking at his castle and she has no idea why it's completely overgrown. She has no idea of anything. She finally guesses that it has something to do with his love of plants, which, oh no, the mirror tells her that. So she doesn't know. She doesn't know anything.
She doesn't even she goes into a room where she sees all, which ends up being his bedroom, which she doesn't know this, or doesn't fully recognize it. And there's all this plant life. It is a millennial plant mom's dream. Just, honestly, one of those is probably the Silky's head somewhere. Let's be real. And then you hear just a random distant voice. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're the mortal that our prince is obsessed with.
She's like,
who the fuck's talking to me? Hello? A ghost?
Over here. It's
the mirror, not the curtains. The mirror, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And then she says, I thought you might be Faye. And he goes, I told you I was the mirror. Dumb.
But, have you always been a mirror? I don't get it. Why is the mirror talking? Have I gone crazy?
Is it enchanted? Yeah, is it enchanted? What happened to it? And he's like, I'm not cursed, I'm enchanted. What's the difference?
Perspective. You are the magic mirror. Which, yes, the wolf has told her about the magic mirror, so...
And he gets a big head. He goes, so you've heard of me then?
I'm popular. Not much, but I know you're not whole. Which, honestly, kind of rude.
Yeah.
Kind of rude. How would you like it if somebody walked up to you when first meeting, like, yeah, I've heard of you, but I heard you're not all there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're not really your full self, are you?
And then she realizes she's in his bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the mirror gets a little excited. I'm like, oh, you've come searching for him? Absolutely not. But
I love the you know about the curse. Then he goes, you know about the curse?
Wait, you know?
Do they know that we know that you know that we know?
But, who told you? Because I didn't tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I came in search of his name. Do you know his name? No.
Which is kind of funny to me that the mirror doesn't know his name. I actually thought maybe the mirror would.
Well, I'm not convinced that the mirror doesn't know.
Oh, and we skipped, by the way, that the mountains also don't know.
Yep, mountains don't know. Mountains are clueless.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not convinced that the mirror doesn't know. Only because she goes, I came in search of his true name. And she goes, well, you will not find answers here. Which, actually, I take that back because it does make sense that the mountains and the mirror don't know because everyone's forgotten it.
Yeah,
except him, because he's able to give these letters. So is he recalling letters as he falls deeper in love and she falls in love with him?
Ah.
And that's why he's able to recall these letters. Because there's at one point he goes, I can't remember anything other than it's 7 letters. But then all of a sudden, well, there's a U. Well, there's an I. So it seems that like as they're falling in love and as things are moving towards
The part
finality.
also doesn't say that she has to guess it. It says that she has to say it.
Yeah, she has to say his name. She has to know his name.
Right. It doesn't
but
say.
everyone's forgotten his name.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, we get the riddle again. But it's the first time Gisella's getting the riddle.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings... But before we get there, she goes, who is he truly? Like, who is Casimir? If you could...
He likes plants.
Yeah, he's a plant dude.
He's a plant daddy.
He's a plant daddy!
Which, by the way, may I point out that there have been no thorns. Why is he a prince of thorns? She has not pointed out any thorns.
There were thorns on the vines when she was originally walking around the castle one of those very first times. She had to be careful of where she walked.
Okay.
But in his chamber, there seems to be no thorns because he doesn't have to have this beastie, like, what's the word? This beast-like persona mask with her, or outside of his chamber.
True.
And therefore, he doesn't have to have thorns. Thorns protect.
So he's Reese under the mountain.
This goes back to my other rabbit hole that I was
He's Reese in the Court of Nightmares.
He is Reese Sand, because Reese Sand is truly the beast from the Beauty and the Beast memoir, but we can't get into that right now.
And then he asks if she wants to see him, which is kind of interesting. It's giving like what is it, the enchanted mirror from Snow White? Mm-hmm. No, it's Beauty and the Beast where he says, "Show me,
show me whatever." Well, the one in Snow White does the same thing. Well, the one in Snow White talks.
Yeah.
But the one in Beauty and the Beast is, "Hey, show me my father," or "Show me this, show me that."
Mm-hmm.
Which again, we're getting more of those Beauty and the Beast elements. Love it.
Yeah, and he killed the fairy that sprayed the lust powder on them.
Of course he did. Did we expect anything different?
I'm surprised because
did he skin her and keep the skin?
I was thinking, he got some, so why would he be killing her? But I guess I kind of get it because
she immediately said, "I regret this."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's cleaning off the blood.
Yeah, but then we also get, how do I find his true name? Because our girl is nothing if not impatient.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know, he said. It will find you.
Which is just for real. Ominous? And then he says, "Hurry up, you have 4 days."
Well, we do get the riddle.
Yes.
We get the riddle, which again, everyone knows his name. It knows no stranger. It wails on the lips of a birthing mother, the howl from the mouth of a grieving lover. It is the cry that breaks the night when death is summoned, and the scream that echoes all day break when truth makes you ache, which is a new line we didn't get before.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I just now noticed it. And it's that second part of the scream that echoes all day break when truth makes you ache. That part was not in the original riddle.
I wonder if she relates to that. Because
I think she does.
Was regretting it. Mm-hmm.
She very much relates to it, which is later on how she figures out his name.
And then he says, you know his name, you have felt it, which is
have felt it. But and the first thing she says is, "I know grief." That is true, but grief is not a name.
Anything can be a name.
But you were right. Grief is not Casimir's true name. So the mirror knows.
He does tell her, basically, in so many words, that his name is an emotion. You felt it.
And he says, "Think on it. You have 4 days." But the mirror knows. This has convinced me that the mirror knows, because he straight up said, "Grief's not Casimir's name."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just says you will not find...
He wouldn't be able to say that if he didn't know.
Because I wonder if she were like say his name too early, not when she loved him, if she would be set free and Casimir would be screwed.
Well, she
They're
has to
trying
say
to
it to him. That was
yeah,
the bargain.
they're kind of trying to make it seem like his she's tied to him anyway. But I would wonder if the mirror won't give her the name because he knows that she's not ready to say it in a way that's going to help Casimir.
Exactly. And she could kind of hold it above him in a sense of, well, I can tell you your name and you will have to free me. Mm-hmm. But even then, I don't know if Casimir would know that it's his name without it being spoken to him by his true love.
Right. Like he might not even recognize it.
So it wouldn't matter anyways. And then they'd all be screwed. Like, even if right now she's like, oh, blank is his name. Oh, it's blank. Like, I know this feeling. It's blank. You don't love him. You're not going to, it's not going to
have the same effect. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
And that's where we leave off. Which Dana read further because she misread the chapters. So
Dana looked at dates instead of chapter numbers and said, oops. Why did we think reading 10 chapters was a good idea for 1 week, Bonnie?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to write somewhere. We only came up with like the 2 discussion questions, but if you have any ideas of discussion questions, put them in the comments and I'll look at them. And then the next week will be the last one for this
We'll
book.
get to talk about his name and then full force theories.
For the next series or the next book.
For the next book. And
sure.
Thanks, I made it.
Yeah, I thought so.
Thanks, I made it.
Caught between the books.
Caught
between the pages.
Caught between books.
Caught between books. Okay.
I say as if I totally know what my company is. I'm terrible.
I'm like that too, though. I get
it. This is fun. Oh, discussion, random theory. Let's run down a rabbit hole. What would we assign each prince, sin-wise? We have 7 deadly sins. We have 7 princes. What is Casimir?
Right. If the book or the princes
were sins,
were the 7 deadly sins, which would Casimir be?
Yeah.
Ooh, I spelled that wrong. Which?
And why is it lust?
And what?
I said, why is it lust?
What?
It's totally lust. He is lust.
He could be lust, but I don't know about that. Yeah, I'm sure that they... Honestly, usually these types of books, they get badder and lustier as it goes on.
No, but I don't know. Because his is all revolved around true love and whatnot.
Is anger a 7 deadly sin? No.
Let's see. I don't know them all off the top of my head.
I know greed is 1.
We have somewhere I can click a thing. And it might tell me. Wow, I'm really bad at Google, y'all. Okay. Gluttony, lust / fornication, greed. Oh no, I think I might have found his. No, that's a new one. That is not a sin. This is a wrath, sloth, pride. Why are there 8? I'm so confused. These are not listed in the way. Greed, sloth, wrath, envy. That was one I was missing.
Envy, yeah. I think probably wrath is supposed to be.
You think his is wrath? He does have a little bit of a temper.
Pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Yeah. He doesn't he's not any of the things other than wrath. Maybe Sloth before she got there, but I don't think so.
I mean, and it could very much be Sloth under the sense of, like, he has probably waited till the absolute end to solve his curse.
Yeah,
and
but
it doesn't look like he was actively trying to break it.
If that's the case, though, I feel like SJM did a better job of writing that for Tamlin than he did for him.
But at least Tamlin sent people out.
He just started sending people out again.
Sorry,
But
I can't defend that man.
because everyone else made him.
Yeah, everyone else just don't make us die with you.
Mm-hmm.
But also, and that man did not do a single damn thing under that mountain.
Sloth.
And I will die on the hill that he is Gaston.
It's Schmidt. You sloth. Yeah, anyway.
Useless sloth.
All right, and that is the end of our book club. Until next week.
Until next week.